With fiction, we create our own heroes and villains as role play for the soul, so no one really gets hurt. But when you go through those things, your body doesn't know it's not real. When you cry at fiction, you're crying.
Yeah.
You're really crying.
I think you make me cry worse though, because you've brought me so many laughs that I'm more emotionally connected to you as a friend. So when you get upset, it really gets me going.
There is a generation of people now where you can look at them in the eye, they'll do one Brent quote, and you instantly go, I like you.
Once you understand the motivation of Brent, that he wants to be popular, and there's a camera there, so that's going to catch him being a twat as well. Once you understand that, everything makes sense. It's this quest to be popular. It's never a good thing in art. If you're famous from the age of 15, or want to be famous from the age of 15 or 20, it sort of defines you, because that's the world you live in. You think everyone acts like that. You pick up the symptoms. You're worried about going out. You're worried about being packed. You're worried about your hair. It's madness. It's a game. It doesn't mean anything. My job is to let people know it doesn't matter. We're all fucking idiots, and that's great. I wanted to be a pop star, and I should have wanted to be a musician. And then when I came to this, I knew I wanted to own my own labour and create the work. I wanted to be the writer-director. The acting was whatever. Being on the red carpet, whatever. My fat face on the screen, whatever. To lead the orchestra, you've got to turn your back on the audience. And that just sums up, I think, art. It's not a democracy.
What's your motivation at this point then? Because like you've done everything, you've made lots of money, like why aren't you just chilling out on the beach somewhere?
It's still fun for me. I get up every day and I do what I want. I mean, that's rare.
We're about to interview Ricky Gervais, Lawrence. Made it.
Oh,
the camera's on.
might as well just stop.
Let's switch them all on now. Everything on?
Everything's rolling.
Everything's on. We'll sit you over there, Ricky.
I know what you think.
No worries.
Real luxury.
Appreciate it, mate.
It's like an interrogation.
Yeah, it is a bit.
We actually did do a lie detector test on this table last week. So.
We're watching a lot of Scandinavian dramas about serial killers.
Yeah.
There's always a setup like this.
Well, we saw you. We thought it was best.
Yeah.
Normally on
Have we
podcasts.
started?
Yeah, we're going.
Technically, yeah.
We normally spend a couple hours interviewing. We've had quite a few big names. We sort of try and slip in as many office references as we can, but we can't really get away with it.
I'm sponsored by Volvic. So let's get that straight away.
They love you. Fantastic.
And crap thing be sponsored by water.
Yeah.
No offence.
We do actually have a YouTube friend who had a Buxton Water sponsorship for a little while.
As much free water as
Yeah, this is it.
Exactly.
which is none at all.
Mum, I've sorted this for life.
Yeah, this is the only occasion I drink water through the night.
Yeah.
Hungover. Yeah.
I've got a big drought following.
Pissing into the sink, as we all
people in
know.
California love it. They're going, look at that amount of water he's
they're
got.
jealous.
It's amazing, yeah.
We got the links yesterday for Afterlife.
Oh, right.
Appreciate that. We watched it through.
Great.
Had a bit of a chat today. Enjoyed it. Are you excited about it coming out?
Yeah, can't wait.
What was the sort of the goal behind it then?
Well, I suppose, I don't know if it's because you get older or because you want to keep pushing the envelope, but it's more dramatic and it's more philosophical and it's darker.
It's fucking dark, like.
It is.
It's very fucking... Because
Yeah.
I've lost someone before. He was very close to me, and I was like, whoa, this is like bringing me back to just feeling like, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? And
Well, it is about grief, and it's not like it's rare. It's not like people sitting down and go, I don't know, what's grief? And then nothing's ever happened to me ever. So everyone goes through grief. You know, the first thing you go through. I remember grief at 5 when my cat died. You know what I mean? I thought I'm never going to get over this.
Yeah.
I'm never going to get over this.
Yeah.
So basically it hits the ground running. You see me watching a laptop, and it's my wife, and she's clearly going through chemotherapy, and she's making a video diary, and she says, if you're watching this, I'm not around anymore. So you know straight away he's lost his wife, and you find out that was the love of his life. He's in depression, or he's angry, and you find out that he was going to commit suicide straight away, but the dog was hungry. Which is sort of funny, but also real.
Yeah.
I think people do think, well, I've got to feed the dog first. If you're going to, you think, I've got to feed the dog first.
Yeah.
You just would. People fold their clothes when they walk into the sea, or, so, and it gives him long enough to think, right, okay, I'm going to carry on for as long as I can, but I'm going to punish the world. I'm going to do and say whatever the fuck I want from now on. and that's where they started with that sort of high concept.
You changed the rules basically of life, like you did that in Invention of Lying.
Exactly.
And you really change the rules, and you become like, I'm living by my own rules.
And he thinks that this is amazing because even though I'm in pain and I hate it and I can't wait to be with her dead, I'm going to have a blast because nothing can hurt me now. I'm not scared of anything anymore. You know, when he gets mugged, he's not scared. Because usually you think, I could fight back, but I've got a baby in a stroller. They know where I live. He thinks, couldn't give a... So it's like, he thinks it's like a superpower.
But that's what I quite enjoyed about that, was actually because someone who actually wants to commit suicide actually maybe wouldn't really think like that. So it sort of shows his kind of... I'm not saying it's not realistic, but it's sort of the level of arrogance or sort of the human ego that keeps you going. I want to kill myself, and so many people say that, but how many of them would actually do it, go through with it in that way?
Well, I mean, I'm creating a fiction, so everyone feels differently about this. And I should say I haven't suffered from depression or suicidal thoughts. I've been lucky because it's you know, some people suffer from those things and they haven't gone through anything. It's just it's a, you know, an illness. But I've created this fiction to explore it, and he goes in and out, you know, and I think people walking around, they seem funny to you, but they could go home and they could think about it every day for all we know. And that comes out as well, treating people, you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what they're going through.
His brother-in-law.
Yeah.
And he's too busy in his own grief.
Of
he
course.
doesn't realise his brother's also having a bad time in his marriage.
And that's another theme, that everyone thinks what they're going through is worse than anyone else. I've had it on Twitter. I did a joke about peanut allergies, and I talk about it in Humanity, where someone says, you should never joke about food allergies. I say, hold on, I talk about AIDS, cancer, famine, and the Holocaust.
Yeah.
And you're telling me I shouldn't joke about food allergies. She sent back, yes, but the Holocaust didn't kill children. So she's like, this is my thing, and it's the worst thing. And everyone thinks their thing is the worst. He thinks and I make him meet people that are worse off than him. And he still thinks, you know, and, you know, sometimes he feels a bit spoiled. And so there's lots of flavours in it, because there's lots of flavours in the world. He meets people he wouldn't have met when he was happily married and home with his wife he sort of goes into sort of the underbelly of society almost, and finds out that they're people too.
Yeah.
You know, and... so it is like an adventure. It's like he thinks it's one last adventure. Really.
But like, it felt like he's living it like a computer game a little bit. Like, oh well, if it's game over at the end, that's fine.
It is exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
That's exactly right. You think you can, if you really don't worry about the consequences, you can do anything. Who cares? But then, of course, what he's trying to do is he's trying to make himself into a psychopath, so he doesn't feel anything anymore. And you can't do that because you're burdened with conscience. And if you look back on it, once you've watched it all, you realise that actually he was nice to vulnerable people, just instinctively. He cared about his dog, he cared about the new girl, he cared about the old lady, he cared about his nephew. So he tried to pick on people his own size, so to speak, intuitively, because he's basically a nice bloke, and you can't pretend to be a psychopath.
So there you go. You don't need to watch it anymore. We've explained the whole thing.
Yeah, it was.
On Netflix.
Those are the themes.
Not bloody worth it.
So in the past,
this probably sounds like people are going, "Why am I going to watch that?"
Yeah.
It's funny.
It is funny constantly.
Funny. It's very darkly funny.
But it's funny in the
Yeah.
dark. Like, I think a lot of your jokes in the past have come out of dark scenarios. Like, obviously on stage, especially doing your comedy. But this is the darkest thing you've done, isn't it?
I think it's the darkest thing I've done because it sort of it feels more like drama with laughs.
Yes.
And that is because I've spent the last 2 or 3. I just haven't watched terrestrial TV for 2 or 3 years, and nothing in English. Nothing in English. Everything. The last 3 years, I've watched since The Bridge and The Killing. I've just found every foreign drama, usually to do with a serial killing or something like that. But and the pacing's different.
Yeah,
very much so.
It felt very modern pacing. To me, there was like elements of like. I don't know what you've watched, but like it was a little bit Curb at times. That pacing, that element
if
of it.
Curb was realistic,
exactly.
There's the surrealism, but it's like it's cross between Curb and Falling Down or Death Wish or something.
And a lot of people watch it and go, "This is just fucking normal guy's day. Why am I watching this? Like, this is so slow." It felt a little bit like Atlanta at times, like just normal things happening to normal people.
I haven't seen that, but I've heard about it.
It's really good. It was like an English version of that.
It is normal things happening to normal people. It's just that the normal person is going through something. And people said about Derek, they said, is it a comedy or drama? I said, well, it's a fake documentary, so what's your real life? It's about everything. You know, we want it to be a comedy, but then we find a lump. You know, it's like all the time in there. It's up and down, isn't it? What we're thinking.
I think this is more towards drama than the previous things have been a bit more towards. The pendulum swung a little bit further, isn't it?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Is that because of the way you're feeling about?
Well, I think it's also because it's a more of a serial. You can watch this in one go because of the nature of Netflix and binge watching. It's one story.
Yeah.
It's like a 2.5 hour story. It's like the serialization of a novel without actually going through all the pain of actually writing the novel.
Brilliant.
You did get to the end of each episode and think, I do want to watch the next one. Like there wasn't a point where you sort of thought, I can leave it there.
Something happens every time you want to see that there's a new development.
Yeah.
So again, I think that just sort of happens when you structure something that's got a lot of flavours. You have to stick to the plot a little bit, and that's what drives it. It's still the plot. You want to know what happens to him.
There are moments where I cried. I said to you, I cried.
Oh,
I cried.
It was the dad bit for me that did it.
He's
talking to his dad and he's sort of losing the plot and that. It's always parents with you. Invention of Lying, like old people. Derek the same. That's when I cry. That's when I see old people.
Of course. We're gonna. Once they're gone, they're gone forever. Yeah. And you know, did I treat them? Did they know? Did they know how much I loved them? All those things. With fiction, we create our own heroes and villains as role play for the soul, so no one really gets hurt. But when you go through those things, your body doesn't know it's not real. So when you cry at fiction, you're crying. Yeah, you're really crying. You know,
a lot of this, what we were talking earlier, because we're huge fans of you, basically.
Thank you.
Regret is something that's in a lot of the moments that you create those emotions from. You always seem to go back to regret.
Because I'm all for forgiveness. I hate the idea of someone's not forgiven. You know, I think this life is so short, but to carry things to the grave, it's tragedy. And an old person looking back, the song that kills me is Willie Nelson singing "Always on My Mind." It destroys me. Oh my God, you want to go? It's all right, mate. You know. So I do look at the big themes and try and deconstruct them and make them fun or interesting or tragic. I want people to feel anything, really.
It feels very classic. You. If I say classic Gervais, it sounds a bit weird. It sounds very classic you themes in this.
Yeah.
So if you are a Ricky Gervais fan,
your philosophies are in this, aren't they?
Yeah.
But, like, to me, you're becoming a bit like the Eminem of comedy, in the sense that you're being known for this thing, and as you're getting older and you're developing and you're going off in different directions, the people, when I was watching this, I was thinking, oh, how are people going to take this? Because I know Derek was different, and some people, I loved it, but some people criticised it, and this is
of course
a step even further again. Are you thinking about, how is this going to be?
Never forget thinking about that. You do it for yourself. That way, at least you come up with something interesting and different. I mean, if you start second guessing people, you'll end up pleasing no one. So in everything I do, it should be uncompromised. You know, we've got enough safe, anodyne, drama, comedy, everything. Most things in every genre are shit. They are.
Yeah.
Most tables are shit. Most art is shit. Most music is shit. Most everything.
Most YouTube is shit as well. All YouTube. We're the exception.
So you want to try and get in that top few percent that isn't shit, right? And you're going to lose a big chunk, but who cares? And it's the same with anything, you know. It's this quest to be popular. It's never a good thing in art. It's never a good thing. If it happens, great, right? But if you aim at it, you'll come unstuck. And I always say this: the bigger you become, the more famous you become, the more successful you become, the more eminent, whatever, the more people love you and the more people hate you, because more people have heard of you. And that feeds in, that works both ways. So the more people that love you and hate you, the bigger you get. But here's the good thing: the bigger and bigger you get, more people love you, more people hate you. But all the people that hate you, they can't affect you, because they can't make the people who love you take the money back, or put tickets back, or put the DVDs back on the shelf. So they're irrelevant. They don't count. They're not coming to your house. They don't like you. So concentrate on these. And then the next project, you have to start again. You mustn't try and please these. You know, You just have to do it for yourself, because there's no other reason, well, apart from getting paid.
I mean, getting paid's fun, but
It's
having
good.
self-respect's important as well, isn't it? And
It is.
you know, in this creative process, because we were just saying beforehand as well, like, where you get your ideas from at this stage, because it feels like, obviously, The Office you drew from experience,
Yeah.
Extras was celebrity in the experience,
Yeah.
and Derek, to my knowledge, you had family who worked in that
About
industry.
5 or 6, yeah.
So now we're thinking, are you walking around with a pad, just every interaction you have with people
In
like
Starbucks, just going, can I just stop you there? What's your name?
Yeah.
You know what I
I've
mean?
always done that.
Right.
I've always people watched
Yeah.
from the age of 5 or 6. So I learned most things. I became an atheist not through. I was into science, but not through studying theology. Through body language. When I was about 8 years old, I loved Jesus. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was great.
He was.
I thought it was a superhero.
Yeah.
Even with a God thing, I thought no, he was kind and he was strong and he stood up and he up there. I thought he's fucking this Jesus. He's the dude.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And I loved it. I thought it was great, right? And I did believe. I thought, yeah, God made all that. I don't know what you really believe at 8 years old. Probably something similar to Santa. You don't go into it, right? It's just someone tells you it, and that's it.
Good babysitter, as you said.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. For a working class mum, Jesus is an unpaid babysitter. If I can't watch you, someone can. They think it's for the good, right? But my brother came in, who was 11 years older than me, and he just said, "Why do you believe in God?" And my mum went, "Bob," and I knew, oh, she doesn't want him to say something. And I thought, why is that? Right, okay. And then I thought about it, like, it's not real, is it? It's not real. It's not real. And then everything fell into place. You know, like, this and that and that and that. But I've never worried about spirituality. People think that an atheist is going around running into churches and saying it's all bollocks. I don't give honestly, you know, I talk about it in my new show that, you know, I have no problem with belief. I just don't believe that. That's it.
It's sort of a big subject right now, though, isn't it? Because there's people like Jordan Peterson and Dawkins, those going around giving talks about the nature of how can you be spiritual if you don't have a God, which is what a lot of religious people say. And you sort of address it in this series. There's a woman in your office who's like, you know, well, what happens when you die then? These kind of things. Who ask the classic questions.
I think the spirituality, in a religious term, is, wow, look at all this amazing stuff God made. That's amazing. Mountains are amazing. Animals are amazing. They're amazing, right? I go, yeah, I feel the same. They're amazing.
Yeah.
I just don't think he made them.
Yeah.
So there's no difference in our spirituality. We're just arguing about where it came to, because I can get there and I think it's explainable. I understand evolution and you know, a little bit of quantum physics and all those things. So I have the same feelings they do. I just think, what you call God, I call nature.
Yeah.
I call gravity. I call chance. I call
Yeah.
You do like to wind people up about it a little bit, though. That's just in you.
I just love that.
But I do that about everything.
Yeah.
I've got no bigger chip on my shoulder about religion than I have teasing someone about their tattoos. Where I wouldn't tease someone
Crack
that
on.
big about their tattoos.
Yeah.
I have a simple rule.
Yeah.
People I tease have to be smaller.
He does it all the time.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
What you have to do is work up a close relationship with them, and then after a while you can just like poke them, and
I'm
you
not
just
even looking at him in the face because
Yeah.
I'm just looking at you now.
yeah, exactly. Just
talking
look for the
about-
cuck in the room. Do you know what I mean? That's what you do.
But actually, when people found out that you were coming on here, they were like, "Ooh, a bit of an arsehole, isn't he?" Like,
Oh, me?
a bit
Yeah.
worried, actually. Like,
Good.
how's this going to go? But like, everyone I know, like, we're friends with Jack, mate, you've done stuff with. Everyone
Yeah.
I know speaks really highly. But are you aware that there's this image of you that people are a bit interviewing you might be a bit of a?
I am, because I think that early days some journalists have said I'm combative, and I go, well, no, I just put you right. Do you know what I mean? If they say and you said, I go, no, I didn't say that. I said this. Like, I go, well, do you want my answer or what?
Yeah.
It's like someone can slag you off, and if I answer back, so I go, oh, he's thin-skinned.
I've had that.
Well, hold on. No. You what? I mustn't ever answer back,
Yeah.
or I'm the thin-skinned one. Well, surely you should be able to stand up for, your rights. And it's funny because I think with all the advantages that people think that comes with fame and celebrity, they actually think you have less rights.
Yeah, public property.
You don't have rights to privacy. You shouldn't answer back.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have the normal emotions of everyone else because you're somehow above
God
it.
or some sort.
Well, it's ludicrous.
You've got a real practical approach to celebrity. Like you don't seem to value it the way. And I mean, it was shown when you fucking hosted the Globes and that. Is this partly because of your like working class background, maybe? Or?
It's a working class background, and I was 39 when fame came to me. It didn't define me. I know if you're famous from the age of 15 or want to be famous from the age of 15 or 20, it sort of defines you because that's the world you live in. You think everyone acts like that. You pick up the symptoms. You're worried about going out. You're worried about being packed. You're worried about your hair. You're worried about where you are in the chart. It's madness. It's a game. It doesn't mean anything. So if you come to it and you've already lived a life, it's frivolous. To me, it's getting a table at a restaurant, which I could probably do anyway if I bothered, getting in the queue. Mm-hmm. So it's those things that you think, well, this is madness, to worry, to put such value in celebrity. And also, there's no difference now between fame and infamy. It's like celebrities used to be, they're great, they've done some really great things and we all love them. Now it can be, we all hate them, but they're bringing a book out. Yeah. They get rewarded for shitty behaviour too now. Just being shit gets. Do you know what I mean?
Shit's the new good, though.
You've got a book alongside. My friend said, "Why would you walk in and buy The Only Way Is Essex autobiography when Nelson Mandela's like right there?" Do you know what I mean? Like there's Mandela, and you go.
Well, Jordan's outsold.
She's had a pretty prolific life, though. So don't fucking,
The one that I liked, the first thing I liked Jordan was she was interviewed about her autobiography. And she said, "Now I don't know if this is in the autobiography." Yeah. So not only did she not write it, she didn't read it.
Yeah.
I mean,
just put it out.
Definitely read my autobiography. I love it. Just want to check if you think.
Did the ghostwriter put that bit in? Don't know.
What did I do in 1987?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She's the ultimate, though. She is the ultimate of that. She was one of the original people who just was made famous for being famous.
But you know what? I've still got nothing against them. I've got nothing against the Kardashians because what they've done is they've created the life they want. I think. I mean, what's dangerous is people look at them and going, "Well, I can do that," and you're sort of right. But with all the things like X Factor and Britain's Got Talent and these things where you go on and juggle a sink, it's like that. Now what?
You've named the wrong thing there again because I paid to see someone juggle a sink. The thing that I think why you are maybe a dangerous figure to those people is that a lot of this relies on the emperor's clothing idea of like people going, the clothes look good, and everyone goes, yeah, they look really good, don't they? So when you're willing to go,
that would be said about me.
No, but when you're willing to go,
massive balls or long balls,
huge balls,
seen them.
But when you're willing to go, no, you're just doing this shit thing, they go, shh, don't tell anyone.
And also, the other thing about the Golden Globes was I didn't have anything against them. It was just jokes. That's the shocking thing was that they were just jokes. I didn't go about. I went about their behaviour, not about things they couldn't help, things they'd done in public. I wasn't, So all it was gentle teasing that...
Some people can't handle this, though.
It's weird because,
we make jokes about other YouTubers and I get private messages.
You don't like
what did you say that for? And it's like, you made a shit video. But no one ever tells people that. So when they hear constructive, real criticism that they fully deserve, but everyone else is reading the comments, I love it, brilliant, and it is actually shit. When they hear that, it's like, and I imagine it's only 100 times worse when you're Brad Pitt or whoever the fuck.
Yeah.
It's a shock to the system for these people.
Yeah, I don't know why they would care. I don't know why they would, people, and most of them didn't. Let's not, those people sitting there. Okay, I was the butt of the joke. Yeah, whatever. It's no big deal. I'm a millionaire and I'm going back to it. But people make them care. They go, he made a fool of you. Did he? Oh, okay. Yeah. Then there's some people looking around wondering if they could laugh at someone else because they're beholden to them because they're a director or producer. I'm not beholden to anyone. I create my own labour. I own my own labour, so I don't care. Having said that, I never went out there to hurt anyone's feelings or undermine the moral fabric of America. They were jokes. They just hadn't seen it done before. And I suppose I played the outsider a little bit, which you've got to do, which you have to do to be a comedian, I think. Particularly the strain of where British comedy has evolved. We were usually the court jester. We were the idiot, making the other idiots laugh at someone who's better off. That we had low status, but now people know how much we earn. So it's hard to keep your low status. So I don't want to go out there and pretend that, I was signing on yesterday, yeah? You know that bus driver? I go, fuck, you fucking lie. I've been on a bus for 40 fucking years, right? So I keep it real. And I keep my lower status in 2 ways. One, I invite them in. I go, what, you think it's all fun and games meeting the Queen? Well, look what I pissed myself. You know, or something. I invite them in and go, I was the putz. So they laugh at that. The other thing I do is I talk about things where they're better off than me. I talk about being fat and old and going bald and gonna die before them and saggy balls, and they're going, I'm better off. So you do it, you can still do it, and you shouldn't go out there and be above the audience. You should go out there and tell the audience what a great life you've had. There's nothing more boring. You're all right, mate. Yeah, right, we've had a bad day here. Yeah. So I do, ironically. I mean, some of the biggest laughs that I pretend, you know, I'm so rich I can have this place burnt down for a laugh, because they know it's a joke. They know it's a joke.
More than most comedians.
There's a hint of truth in every. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even more than most comedians. So you've went out of your way to be like. I guess if you compare you to like Seinfeld or Chris Rock, or like they care a bit more about their image than I think you really didn't give a fuck. Like you actually embraced that even more so.
Well, when I started, I remember thinking, the point of stand-up and the people I liked, right? I wanted to be nearly as funny as everyone is in the pub with their mates. And that people think, well, I could do that. You can't. It's really hard. It's really hard to go out on stage, 10,000 people, and be as funny as you are in the pub with your mates, right? Because you can't say the things you say in the pub with your mate. You have to explain too much to be as funny as because they've known you for 10 years. So one little look can be the funniest thing. You know what your mate's thinking. Someone comes in, your mate looks, and you laugh because you know what he's thinking. Yeah. You can't do that, right? So it's harder than it. I wanted to. I remember thinking this as well. 20 years ago, I wanted to fuse that perfection of Seinfeld, where he takes an idea and he goes to and explore that, but do it like Billy Connolly, shambling out in jeans with a beer, saying, "How are you? I've just come from the docks." That's what I wanted, and I didn't have a thing. I haven't set myself alight in a brothel like Richard Pryor. Do you know? I haven't been oppressed.
Not we know of.
No, I know. Yeah. So what's my only thing? Being a working class oik who shouldn't be in polite society. I still play that, even though they know I went to university and everything like that. Yeah. I still play the who gives a fuck. I know I shouldn't be here. And with stand up, I always try and get in where I've come from. Yeah. Stories from childhood, or making a fool of myself, or a teacher putting me down, or my dad. Because it goes in, it all goes in. Subliminally, they go, we get it. But you
pass that down as well, though, like in how to deal with certain situations. Like we were talking before, and it's like we used to, like, people would be bullied at school, and we'd have no reply to them. I mean, I wasn't bullied that much, I've got to be honest, but he was.
This one's my story.
He's told me a few of his stories.
No, but you were my tool to. Yeah. Oh, sorry, and I'm picking up what you're saying there. But I said this before. Like there were kids at school when The Office first came out who.
So how old are you?
30, just. Right,
so
you were I was in the end
13,
of high school
14,
at that point.
15.
I was 15, 16.
Right, yeah.
And I think the first time it came out, I remember when my mum went, I can't watch this documentary. Like, she turned it off and didn't like it, didn't like the boss.
That's great.
Was a bit like, this guy's an arsehole. And I was like, but I didn't, and I remember watching it and thinking, I don't know if this is a comedy or if this is a documentary at the time, because it was felt so real.
That's brilliant.
And then when I watched it as a comedy, over time I'd start going, when a bully did something in class, I go, oh, that's so, and everyone else would go, he's subtly undermining him, but
you were the
comedian has no idea that
you passed that on to a whole generation. Like we're all just copying what you did, basically. Like me and him have taken a lot from your style. Are you aware of the impact that you had on our generation?
Immediately.
Yeah.
I sort of straight after it, I noticed that adverts were doing fake documentary.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't invent that. I mean,
you did in this style. I know we're trying to be like, oh, Ricky, it's so great the way you did it, but there is a generation of people now where you can look at them in the eye, they'll do one Brent quote, and you instantly go, "I like you." Do you know what I mean?
I think that's more mine. The fact that because I wasn't a real actor, what I was doing was an impression of a man I made up. I always thought of like, what would this guy do? Not how to act or where to stand, but what would this guy do? And once you understand the motivation of Brent, that he wants to be popular. He wants to be popular, right? And there's a camera there, so that's going to catch him being a twat as well. Once you understand that, everything makes sense. If that wasn't a fake documentary, that would be a very, very average sitcom. Be very, very average.
Below, yeah.
Yeah, but once you know he wants to be famous...
Yeah.
And he's getting caught out. So I hated exposition. I hated how people had to say, John, you know your sister, the one who went to Gambia?
Yeah.
Well, of course I do. She's my sister. Why are you talking about that? Right?
Yeah.
So, and it made it hard on the fake documentary because you couldn't, do things behind closed doors. It made you work. And so I did it with getting caught by the camera. So if someone says something and they go, is that true? And you go, they're lying. You just know they're lying.
You had an ability to make it more real than I think other people had done beforehand because you weren't trained and you just made it more like real life. Yeah,
I was emulating those sort of quaint docu-soaps of the 90s that I'd watched, and ordinary people get their 15 minutes of fame and that was it, exactly. But then now it's when I came to do Life on the Road, it was like 10 times worse. Now David Brent would have been on X Factor, and so I made it harder for him. That he thought he was an old generation who thought, well, no, I'm going to do it the right way, and of course he struggled even more. Yeah. But it's got crazier and crazier now. People will, do anything to be famous.
What's your motivation at this point then? Because like you've done everything, you've made lots of money, like. Obviously, you can pick and choose everything you want to do, but you seem to be still grinding away, doing all these stand-ups and series. Why aren't you just chilling out on the beach somewhere?
Well, I am. I mean, I'm not on the beach, but it's still fun for me. I get up every day and I do what I want. I mean, that's rare. And if I don't want to do it, I don't do it. And as soon as if I finish a project, I think, I've done that, right, I'm going to have a rest. When I rest is when I think of another idea. The having the idea is the buzz for me. That's the thrill. And is there a way you get those ideas stereotypically? You can't. It can't. You've got the sort of brain and it comes to you. But what gets harder, because I do everything, and I like to do more than one project because I've got that sort of brain. I can't do one project because I can only work on it for 20 minutes and then go, now what? And I'll go some computer chess. I'll go out and find a dog to play with. So I have 3 paintings on the go, right? So I can go from one to the other and I can keep my brain. Yeah. It's just, I can't help that. I don't even know what that is, right? But I need to do that. My motivation, it's fun. I can, and I push myself. I go, could I get away with that? Is there a way of getting away with that? I think I can. I think I know. And it comes to you when you relax, and this is my job now. I mean, that's incredible. Yeah. This is our job. What? I'd be doing this anyway. Yeah. I did this on the dole. Yeah. This is what I was doing.
The Guardian didn't pay you much.
But there's admin, because I still have to take care of business. That's the thing you don't, talk about, So of a day, if I do a 6-hour day, which is fucking rare, that's a long day. Right? But 4.5 hours is admin. Yeah. Just go and do that. What? So and so. Tell them us. Okay, what have I got to do? Because I do it all, right? So the best time for me is as I lay down to sleep, on a plane. Altitude, no phone and champagne, and I write. That's when I write the things that make you cry. Really? That's when I write the bits that make you cry, and I'm there like that on a plane. And they're like, yeah, I'm fine, thanks.
In first class, right? He didn't say that.
In first class, yeah.
Exactly, I think you make me cry worse though, because you've brought me so many laughs that I'm more emotionally connected to you as a friend. So when you get upset, it really gets me going. Whereas
my family said that.
Yeah, and
my niece and nephew said when I cry, they cry because they know me, of course, and they and they've never seen me cry, except at a funeral, So, but I'm going for a run. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Shock.
Yes, I do. All right, I work out every day. Imagine if I didn't. But yeah, you just think the endorphins kick in. You're there for 20 minutes, no phone. You're thinking about things, and that's usually jokes. That's usually a routine or a thing that I think of. That's my naughtiest. And I go, oh, that's funny. That's funny. I go home. I say to Jane, "What do you think of this?" She says, "Please don't do that." And then I know.
Brilliant.
There's something.
That's it. That's the one. Fantastic. I love it. If she says it's too bad, that's spot on.
Yeah. So and then I go, okay, what about this? He goes, right, yeah, I have to get round. So first you go unfiltered, and then you go, now I've got to make it palatable, and that. Then I've got to make it bulletproof, because this joke can come back and haunt me in 10 years.
Yeah, you don't want
which
to be.
you shouldn't have to worry about.
Yeah, you don't want to be James Corden, Harvey Weinstein type jokes where they're
exactly. He hadn't thought it through. Yeah. It wasn't his thing. You know. I want to say. You know. I wouldn't slag him off for doing it. But you go, if you are going to try it, you've got to be bulletproof. And then you can't say sorry. You say sorry. I don't say sorry. You should have done it in the fucking first place. What are you, 10? Yeah. Right? So I want to say to people who aren't comedians, haven't been doing it all their life, you shouldn't try this at home.
Yeah.
Right. People say, how does he get away with it? Well, because I fucking think about it. I haven't gone out there drunk and said something horrendous. I've thought about that joke more than your article about it.
Yeah.
I've played that joke to 800,000 people. You're going to do a snotty blog? Fuck off.
Yeah. I must admit, when I watched Humanity, there was the joke about the baby dying and how incapable of a parent you were.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, oh, that's so fucking funny for a start. After I'd stopped laughing, but after a while, I'm like, oh, and I really thought about, is there anything that you could say about that, like, or you could bring up, and you cannot take you to task because you've literally done.
Well, it's also
so many hours.
It's my baby that doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Yeah. So imagine someone getting annoyed at that.
Yeah.
I once tweeted. Right, I've put on £7 and a picture of me with a big belly. Do your worst. Insult me, right? People said you shouldn't fat shame. What, me? I shouldn't fat shame me. Right, okay, my bad.
Yeah.
It's ludicrous what people get upset about. They haven't thought it through, because Twitter's turbo. Twitter is before you've thought about it.
Oh yeah, it's just easily tweeted.
Of course, 15 years ago, you go, I'm going to complain. Dear BBC, I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
Now you fire it off. Now it's road rage. You're going fast.
Yeah. So, and I think the human nature is more to speak only when something's annoyed you, and not as much when. So if we watch the comments on this video, you're going to get more negative probably than positive a lot of the time, because if you're enjoying it, you're not writing. You're sitting there and enjoying it.
I know.
Generally,
but the type of people who will go online and leave a comment, that is like, you might as well go and read toilet walls to get upset about them. I have never been upset by anyone on Twitter. No one has ever upset. They don't exist. It's like me. Honestly, they think they can. I'm too happy. If I'm walking down the street and there's some cunt in a bin covered in shit and he shouts wanker, I'm going to get upset. Of course I'm not. It would be madness. Wouldn't it?
I just love that he's covered in shit randomly.
Yeah. How did you get there with that?
His imagination. No wonder he fucking does.
That's what I thought. The Twitter is a little bit. That's not to always go back to your comedies and what you put on TV, but that's what I always like about your character, is that there's a vulnerability, but they think they're not vulnerable.
Yes,
so
of course.
Brent doesn't think he's vulnerable.
Of course.
And that's what Twitter is, sort of.
It's the blind spot. Exactly that.
Twitter reveals a lot of people's blind spots. In that, it exaggerates
them. It can be totally wrong. There's no irony.
Yeah.
People can get it wrong. I remember when I first got on Twitter, I did a tweet, right? And someone said, I was like, okay, no, I didn't mean that. And I'd spend the next hour explaining that. I thought, fuck off. Yeah. Why am I doing this? Yeah. Why am I? And then people would go, dude, don't explain to them. They're a fucking arsehole. Most of us got it. I thought, of course you did.
Yeah.
Why am I? It's honestly, it's like going out and doing an arena and going to someone, are you like it? Oh, I don't like it. Okay, let's cancel the show. Like, what do you like?
Yeah.
What do you like?
Or going, here's why that joke was funny. And just let me break this down, because see, the baby's dead, but it's not real. So
I know. But it's like, I did used to worry about it, because I thought, they've got it wrong, and I'll still explain the joke if they want. If someone asked me a genuine question on Twitter, I would explain it. I don't always have to be flippant or tell them to fuck off or block them or whatever. I used to get so annoyed at people who'd say to me things like over evolution. I used to discuss things on Twitter, and they say, "Oh, okay, if we evolved from apes, then why are there still apes around?
Yeah.
And I used to go, oh, you fucking what? Da, da, da. And now I say, I just answer. I go, no, we didn't evolve from apes. We evolved with apes from a common ancestor, rather like cousins. And that's it.
Yeah.
And they go, all right, okay.
Fair play.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Going back to Afterlife, one thing that struck me when I was watching it, because it really reminded me of right after someone died in my life and how I was acting. I was like, it's as if this is about me here. I couldn't believe it. How did you know, like, where you go? Like, have you had those experiences yourself? Or?
Well, I haven't had. I mean, the greatest fear is your life partner. That that's the be all and end all. There's nothing like it. I've had parents and friends, but no. So I'm guessing, but
that was all just pretty much you imagining it then.
Yeah,
and you didn't talk to anyone specifically or see anyone who inspired that.
No, but again, I have. I know. Everyone knows someone who's and you've got anecdotes and I've heard interviews with people I admire who've lost their partner, and so it all goes in. You don't even have to think about it, because at the end of the day, it is a fiction. As long as you do something that has happened or could happen, you don't have to have something that happens every day to everyone. That's boring. And then I still had to make it funny, and then I had to throw lots of things in. There's 1,000 stories in there, and I just did one. But I do like it to be real. I do like to be honest and real, and I do like people to connect in any way. I do. I think the greatest thing about art is connecting with a stranger, somebody you'll never know or meet or know, or care about in a way. I don't know these people, but it is a thrill to think that you're downloading emotions, and that's why music comes in. It's like you're making someone 1,000 miles away feel something, and now with social media I do hear about it. Oh my God, just watch Derek, I'm a 54-year-old builder crying my eyes out. That's lovely. That's a really lovely thing to hear. But you mustn't second guess. I don't know who I like it, and I imagine people like different things. People would put 1,000 people would put my work in different order of their favourites to I do it. How do you feel about
personal?
No, I don't do it to my stuff.
I was going to say,
because I changed my mind about that as well.
Yeah,
and also everything bleeds into that. It's like you can have a real affection for the first thing you ever did, but no, it's not the best thing you ever did. It's
because The
Do
Office was good.
you know you're speaking about The Office and how you it wasn't. Like now you're speaking about your work in a totally different way than when you were first making The Office, and you are trying to impersonate a guy rather than now you're creating all this emotion and you're really thinking things through differently. What was the biggest learning experience of your life so far to get you to you upgraded a lot through that time? What was the thing that you think would be like, God, that was the one I really learned from the most?
What project or thing?
Moment, anything that really you feel like's made you improve the most as a person?
Meeting Jerry Seinfeld. Don't meet your fucking heroes. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God. Oh, that's... lots of things... I suppose... knowing Christopher Guest... there's lots of... He's been a sort of mentor, and I have to give him props. Spinal Tap, fake documentary. And he's given me some pearls. I like the way he acts and conducts himself. I remember once when I had to do it was the Invention of Lion. They wanted me to do one of those screenings where they give you notes. 40 members of the public give you notes, and I thought, I don't want to do that, right? And Christopher said, why would you? They said, if you're going to let them edit it for you, next time write it with them. And I thought that's a lovely thing to do. It's a lovely thing to say, but you learn all the time. And because, I suppose I'd done a bit of learning before I came to it.
That life experience.
I remember I won the BAFTA, the first BAFTA I won for The Office. And I was sat at home with it, right, after, being quite an underachiever. I was very good at underachieving. And I said to Jane, "Oh, why didn't I do this before?" And she went, "We wouldn't have been any good. You didn't have anything to say. What you've got to. I couldn't have done it at 22 or 23. Mm-hmm. Life's already too good at 20. You have to come to terms with your own inadequacies. You know, it's. I think that with the Simon Amstel said when he sees a really good-looking young comedian, he thinks, "Why do you want to do this? People are already looking at you." And that's a lovely thing to think, you know.
I have that all the time.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I had to lose my looks.
Well, because I was going to say at one point, things could have been so different for you.
You were a
from
handsome guy,
dancing
though.
and
I
sort
know.
of. Imagine if you got that.
That's the biggest lesson.
You fucked up. Right?
That's the biggest lesson, by far the biggest lesson. That's it. Number one, that I wanted to be a pop star, and I should have wanted to be a musician. And then when I came to this, I knew I wanted to own my own labour and create the work. I wanted to be the writer, director. The acting was whatever. The being on the red carpet, whatever. My fat face on the screen, whatever. But owning the work, that was my biggest lesson. I should have wanted to be a musician. You know, I should have wanted to be Radiohead, not you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not a boy band. And I didn't particularly, but you know. That's certainly a lesson, yeah.
It is funny for me. I thought your biggest lesson was going to be don't wear a scarf like that in a picture. But the other part, it is a lovely scarf. I'm only joking.
In Curb?
No,
or the picture?
In the picture of you in the section.
Well, I sort of spoofed it, that picture a little bit in Curb.
Yeah.
That little white chiffon scarf. That
I looked at that and I was like, is that a tribute to his younger self? Do you know?
Now that was great fun as well, because I'd done it to other people for years in extras, and then when I get the chance to do it to myself, I realise why people love it. When people say, "How did you get people to do that?" It's a day off for them, and they're sort of going, well, the best thing to do with it is make yourself worse than they want you to be. So if you go crazy, you're basically saying, "See, I can't be really like this, can I?"
Yeah.
You know. So that was an absolute joy doing Curb and being a complete arrogant arsehole. That was so much fun.
It's funny because actually I don't think you get as much credit in extras for your writing as you do in The Office, because people are so real. But the comedy writing in extras, not to sound like too sycophantic, but
I think it's because innovation gives you that. It's because they hadn't seen anything quite like it before, and they hadn't seen me before, so I get new props.
Yeah, but getting Ian McKellen to say, "How do I act so well?" is fucking brilliant. Like, that's still one of my favourite comedy scenes.
I'm glad you said that, and I do sort of agree with you, because it was sort of easier in a way because we had the famous people to spoof. Yeah. So that's a little bit easier because they're doing a lot of the work just by being there and being them.
You could just sit there for half an hour and be like, "What's the most crazy shit I can get?"
Of course, you can still blow it though.
Yeah.
It could still be awful.
True.
I've seen people who have them in. I just think you haven't done anything with that.
Yeah.
You know, you can make it like a Children in Need sketch where you go, "You had so and so, and that's all you did." Oh, come on, you know. So you could still blow it. But Extras was really still about some hapless people. You know, it was never meant to be about the celebrities. That was for realism, rather like we had real computers and paper around in the office.
Yeah.
They were no more than that in a way, because it was about a man struggling to be accepted. And I remember when that was a conscious decision. I wanted to play the opposite of David Brent, because David Brent hits the blind spot we're laughing at. You know, he thinks this person is not. Whereas Andy Millman,
he's the Tim, isn't he?
He's the Tim, and he's very aware of his inadequacies, and he's angry about it. So that's a different funny. Yeah. It's a different funny. It's just as funny. Someone who's delusional and thinks they're great, and you're laughing about it, great, right? But someone who goes, "My life is absolutely fucking shit." You know, like
that's why the Les Dennis episode was perfect.
And Barry, and there's a lot of people who have shit lives, but actually they're great.
Yeah, of course, exactly, yeah. But again, I mean, there's got to be a struggle. Yeah. There's got to be a struggle, because initially Andy Millman started. I like those wisecrackers, and I wanted him to be like Groucho Marx or Bob Hope, one of those people that. But again, even there, they sort of show that it's not good to be the cleverest person in the room. Mm-hmm. You know, the Lisa Simpson syndrome, that you can do a witty comment and people go, "Well, you're an idiot." You know, because we're all not like, you know, Bart Simpson gets a round of applause because he, you know. So there was that as well. So all these factors you have to. Why are people laughing? People have to sort of know, even if it's only intuitively, why they're laughing.
You know, Derek. How long did it take you to perfect who he was going to be? Because I'm sure you played around with him a lot. What was that like?
Yeah, it was an evolution. It originally started as a character. It was going to be. I had him for a while, but it was going to be him saying those funny things to celebrities. Because I've had him as long as the 11 o'clock show.
Wow.
So he was going to go out to someone and say, why did you do that rubbish film? Right? So they'd be disarmed by this nice guy. And I'd seen Autograph Hunters, and they're a sweet bunch, but they're an odd bunch, and they're all lovely and sweet, but an odd bunch, you know.
That's an understatement.
Well, they were. So I thought, oh, that would be great, because I don't know them, and when you get to know them, they're really sweet and nice, right? They just look odd because they're out in the rain in an anorak, and they're drenched, right? Like any of those. And so I thought,
after a signature,
they could have amazing lives. They could be really wise. They just like. So I thought, that's great. So I'm going to make Derek, to look at him, someone you go, who the fuck, and then you go, actually, he doesn't care about this. So he's quite zen. I quite him quite zen. I quite like that. The sort of
There's no anger in him.
The hobo who turns out to be God.
It makes him quite profound.
In a parable.
Yeah. And if you mistreat him, you'll regret it.
But
and he's Christ-like, and he's pet-like, and he's chimp-like, and he's
perfect.
And you can't. I wish he existed. I've never had a connection with playing a character like Derek.
Well, I think that was your best acting performance, in my opinion.
Oh, thank you. I think it's most obviously not just me.
Yeah, it was the biggest stretch, but you nailed it. Yeah,
and I think people think, and they're right, that I'm lazy when it comes to how long am I in the makeup chair, and I got offered that Winston Churchill film.
Oh, really?
And they caught him. I go, no, and and there's a bit of you go, yeah, maybe I could do it, but then they go, of course you couldn't. They need a real actor. I was saying to them, you need a real actor. I think they'd see me do Churchill. And
that's surprising that you said not that,
because you are a big imperialist.
And then Jane read the script, and she went, he's 62 in this, so you probably have to have makeup 3. I went, forget it. That's it.
Brilliant.
That was it. That was.
I would have enjoyed that though, because you're a little bit like Robin Williams in that he could do both. Do you know what I mean? You could do it all. And I don't know. I would have enjoyed that.
I think sometimes it's too much effort or too hard, or I don't think I'm the genuinely best person for the job. Whereas if I create the character, it comes from me, it's already there, so I am the best person for the job. I just think that I think if I'm doing my own mannerisms and I'm not worried about doing an accent or a funny walk or a hunchback, I can make it realer for them, even though they might think, oh, he's just playing himself. That's a ridiculous accusation. All my favourite people played themselves. Dustin Hoffman plays himself. Laurel and Hardy played themselves. Same in everything. Woody Allen is always the same. It's this thing that to be a great actor, you have to transform yourself and live in a cage for a year. You don't. You don't.
And ironically, the method actors, what they do is they imagine that person and what they would do in their spare time. And that's exactly what you did with Brent, but you weren't aware of it probably at the time.
No, I wasn't aware of it. I hadn't picked any acting sim. I still don't. I can still cry like that, in tears, have the camera people in tears, and they go, right, okay, next shot is
right.
And
do they freak out when you do?
That looks weird.
That looks sociopathic.
He's a fucking sociopath.
Yeah, of course they've got to slowly put the brakes on and go back into right, because again it's a real emotion. But I'm always thinking, oh, this is start again, or you've got to think this is good. And every time I've cried, Invention of Lying, David Brent, Derek, Afterlife, every time I've cried, it's the first take, because then you feel better. Yeah. I can't do a second take crying. Yeah. You can't.
Because once you go there,
you can't. Because you have to. If you cry, they're real tears. I don't mean I'm really upset. And the other thing is, it's got to be justified. I couldn't cry here because I'm not thinking about something really sad. So if I was doing something and it wasn't justified, it's not sad enough. I can't cry. So I suppose that's a bit of method. But you just make sure what you've written justified someone crying anyway. Otherwise, it's nonsense. It's soap opera.
Do you run a lot? You seem to run a lot of things by Jane. Do you go with her with almost everything that you do? Do you?
Well, she makes me think. I mean, I think she'd probably have seen everything I've ever done before I've done it at some stage.
So you're like first audience member, basically.
Particularly with jokes, and I run those by her, and I'm excited about it. And it's not really a test. I'm not really going, if she hates this, it's brilliant. Sometimes you go, oh, you said so. I go, oh yeah, good point. Yeah. So you do need that. The great thing about stand-up is, it's not like other disciplines. So when you write a film or a sitcom you do your best thing and you think about it, and you might show it to a few people and you film it and you edit it and then it's finished and it's out. There's nothing you can do about it. That's it, done. Right? With stand-up, you can change it every night, and they choose your best bits. They choose your best bits for you. So it's less like an art and more like a science. It either works or it doesn't. Mm-hmm. If it works, keep that in, add to it. Great. If it doesn't work, think about it, lose it, or edit. So after 10 gigs to a couple of hundred people at a time, you've got the best hour. And if an audience of 1,000 people here like it works the same there. People are the same. If they can understand the language, they're the same. That's a big sample, 1,000 people. And so once it works every night.
Even States and England? Or do you change your act for the States?
No, I don't change my act. The only thing that I do is if it's, again, a cultural reference.
Right.
Like, if the punchline was Kerry Katona.
Right.
They do. So you either do an equivalent.
Famous, though, so.
Yeah. You either do an equivalent or you lose it, or you know. But no, I don't. You don't need to change tap to Faucet and pavement to sidewalk.
How many people do you meet who haven't quite got
which makes me make sure that is universal and timeless.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean?
Right,
I don't go see Big Brother last night. And I go, no, we didn't.
Yeah.
No. So
you do the Bible.
I do.
Yeah.
If you're
classic.
talking about
classic.
Bible, AIDS, cancer, the Holocaust,
never go down
Hitler,
all terrible things.
It's never all terrible things.
I sort of got to follow up on the Bible, but the side of it is, how many people have you met? Because I meet a lot of people who don't quite get you, or they don't quite understand your humour. And sometimes
we have a word for those, though.
What?
Dumb cunts.
No. But seriously, there are people who think they get you, and they go to your stand-up and they go, oh, "It's bloody brilliant." But I get you in a different way to the way that some of those people get you.
Well, that's yes.
I'm not saying I get you in the right way, but there's a lot of people who go, "I love that joke."
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I feel it sometimes because when and it depends what I've done as well. Because once you're in like a Hollywood movie or you do the Golden Globes, there are people who haven't seen The Office or seen your stand-up. And so if they've seen me being fun and nice on This Morning, saying things, you're saying in front of your nan.
And then they go, watch Humanity.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Why is he Why is he talking
Turn this on with the kids?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, yeah.
Why is he kicking a baby?
Yeah.
Right? So you get those, but most people get it. And the great thing about Humanity, I'd been around for so long that everyone there got me.
They know who you are now.
They know who I am now. They know and they laugh at if I do anything even slightly self-referential or talk about money or do a joke about being self-aware of my image or anything. They all laugh. They get it. So you come through the other side really. But yeah. Certainly throughout and early on, so people would love The Office. They want to get a ticket, right? And then I do a chat show. Then I win an award. So next time I do twice as big a venue. And now some of them haven't seen The Office, so they're not quite as sure. But you go by the way. What you don't do is try and please them.
Right.
They either go away or their seats go to someone who does care next time.
Right.
And all you have to do is make sure that you could have sold more tickets. That's what I do. I sell enough. I sell enough, and I've got the world as well. So most comics haven't got the world. So I don't have to do 13 nights in Blackpool.
Yeah.
Because I can.
Who wants to?
No, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know I can play I can play around the world. I can play North America, South
What about
America.
when you have bombed? What's that felt like? Can you handle that better than
Has that ever happened?
Well, it's difficult because what you mean by bombed, when you bomb, it's not usually your audience. So when I jump up and say jokes at the Golden Globes, some people are gasp. I don't know if that's bombing, because I
meant more in the traditional way, like maybe in the early days, what if that happened?
Well, I didn't do the early days.
Right.
My first gig
was Animals.
And the first gig I did of Animals, the warm-up, I was on the front cover of the Radio Times as the most influential person in comedy, which is obviously ludicrous, but I was on about to do the second series of The Office, and I'd won 2 BAFTAs. So no one going there was going, who the fuck's this bloke? They're going, I love The Office, he's my favourite. So
you've never really had that classic stand-up experience then?
I haven't, no. Yeah. No, I really haven't. So I'd have to sort of create it, really. And I don't know where I could go to create it, because there's going to be someone who...
Try doing Animals in a church, I think that would probably do it.
Well, yeah, you can, as I say, you can certainly find... I imagine if I can't imagine... if I supported another comedian for a laugh, that might not go down. But it's hard for me now to know what it would have been like. But it makes me work harder, because you don't want the cheer when you walk out to be louder than the cheer when you walk. So I try and lower expectations. Sometimes I do it ironically with a big thing, and then go, anyway, don't get your hopes up, but you'd feel that if you're the biggest comedian on the planet and they're going mental for you, and then you do an okay show, they go, oh fuck me. Yeah.
You relax people when you come out. You've got that, I don't know where you fucking buy these massive cans of beer. Do you have them custom?
Almost comedic.
Right, that I'll tell you when that started. So it was the first special for HBO, Out of England 2, which is sort of a compilation of my first 2 shows, Animals and Politics, right? Because I thought I'd have to lose so much. I didn't want to do Animals and Politics, so I lost all the pro things, and they made a great hour.
Yeah.
Right? And that was on HBO. I said to the people, do you want a beer out there? Just a can of Foster's, right? And I didn't realise that actually Foster's in New York was quite hard to get.
Yeah.
Right? So they went, and I didn't know this was happening. I meant a beer. Right, so they said, we've got you Foster's. I went, great. And I went out there, and they had these ridiculously large cans. So I went out there to take the thing, and I went, could I just explain to people, that is a really big can. I am not a dwarf.
Yeah.
Right. And then whenever I went, people had a can of Foster's for me. Right. People thought I was sponsored by Foster's, and it's just stuck. It's just stuff. That's it. Yeah, that's how it happened.
And yet you've seen none of the kickback, so that must be annoying.
No, I've never had a free can of Foster's ever.
Could have made you a millionaire. That
I know. Yeah.
What's it like to be in, or to be? Because how to phrase this question? You didn't do the sets. You didn't go jobbing around, New Cross and South London and all the little places. No. What's it like to then suddenly sit on a special with Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, and Louis C.K. going, "We're all comedians," they're all going, "He's brilliant, he's brilliant." I know you're not the kind of guy to get imposter syndrome, but what does it feel like to sit alongside those guys?
Well, by then I was sort of, and I had done a few, and also the chat was going to be about comedy in general.
Yeah,
it was I wanted to talk about Seinfeld. And everyone hates Chris, and I wanted to talk about Louis, and I talk about The Office next to it. But actually, when it came down to it, I was outnumbered. So they just talked about stand-up, because it was the thing they really cared about. And I went along for the ride. And I remember, I think this was off air, that Seinfeld, he couldn't understand that the other 3 of us did other things. He thought we were crazy. Yeah. But why do you want to do? He said to Chris, "Why do you want to do movies?" Well, I want to do this because he said, "You're a fucking stand-up." And now I get it. And now stand-up is the holy grail again.
Really?
It is, yeah. I don't know why. I think it's the times that it's such a fucking privilege to say what you want. There's no filter. Even I get final edit on Afterlife or Derek, or there's still 60 people involved. I still have to worry about broadcast rules. I still have to worry about this and that. Whereas stand-up, I go when I do it, where I do it, I charge what I want. Fuck off. You don't like it? Fuck off, right? There's nothing like it. It's an absolute privilege. But you better say something interesting. Those people, some of them have paid 500 quid. Right, really, and that breaks my heart.
Yeah.
That does break my heart. I want to give them a watch, right? But I better give them the fucking best night of their life. So I better do something interesting. And it's not what they want, right? It's what I want. Because again, if you second guess them, you won't please anyone. Whereas if you really think, there's a great phrase I love: to lead the orchestra, you've got to turn your back on the audience, and that just sums up. I think art. It's not a democracy. It's not. It's evolution by natural selection. They either like you or they don't. If they don't, someone else will buy that seat. If they don't, you'll play a smaller venue, right? But your work, you'll still do it, and you'll do it for you, and you'll feel better. And if you can have best of both worlds, amazing. That's amazing.
Having that audience reaction, is that part of the reason why? Because you actually get the return straight away, whereas, you know, you get the comments on Twitter, but you don't get to sit and watch everyone.
Well, I realise it's because even with right up to fame and science. When I was playing, I was already playing arenas and around the world. Not as much as I do now, but you know, I still felt like I'd written the show, I'd got it, and then they'd come out, they paid in advance, they paid 6 months before. I was sort of collecting money, I was giving them a good show, and I was going, oh, thank fuck for that. Now I can't wait, and now I could stay there, and now I go, this is, and I realised they made me work hard. Because to get all that, to get the money in advance, and them laughing, and then feel good afterwards, it's got to be good. You can't hide, you can't get away with it.
Do you get nervous?
Not for long. I never get nervous, because if I'm going out there, I know it's good. I don't get. I wouldn't go out there. I'd cancel the show. That's not good enough. I don't put any on sale until the show's worked. I haven't put one gig for the new tour on sale because I haven't finished the warm-ups yet, and I've already played to 10,000 people at the warm-ups. Mm-hmm. So I can't. When I go out there and someone's paid full price, I know this works. Trust me, it works. It really works.
But not even like those butterflies that everyone seems to get. Like,
I get an adrenaline rush, but that's because I haven't drunk yet, and I can't wait to get out there because I know there's a beer.
There's a vat of Foster's where you can get out there. Yeah.
I usually drink at 6 o'clock, but when I do a gig, it's 8:10. I try to get it early. Sometimes I say, "Can we do it at
just for the fucking booze?"
No, yeah. So at 10:00, I'm raring for that. But I go out there. And nowadays, right, I go out, I used to wave and do a bit and then go, now I go straight out to the beer and go, cheers.
Yeah. Fuck it, straight on.
I know, yeah.
I'll get you in a minute.
His next one's back.
But I know your point is a good one, that not so much then, but when I'd won the BAFTAs and I was at the front cover of Radio Times, there's a part of me that think I should do stand-up.
Yeah.
I sort of got to prove my point here a little bit.
Animals was just so. I remember just that. I would watch that continually over and over again. Just.
Do you know what? I'd with Animals, that DVD, I'd done 20 shows.
Yeah.
Wow.
And now I've done 40 shows before I put a ticket on sale with this one.
Yeah.
Because I loved how Humanity went. The first few, I sort of wrote like an Edinburgh show. I wrote like a writer, and then I went out like an actor, acting like a stand-up. Yeah. Humanity, I walked out. I was a stand-up, and I didn't have notes. I just had a couple of things, and I just talked, and I found the funny. You still have to meet at a certain. You still have to then structure it. You have to go home and write it. But I like that way around more, and that's what I've done with Supernature as well.
Does that come from hanging out with comedians? Because you are hanging around with the glitterati of comedy, from as far as most people can tell. Do you know what I mean?
But I'm not really. I'm not. You know, they see me sit down and they watch an hour of me with Jerry Seinfeld, but
is that not a common occurrence? Is comedians in cars not getting coffee not your everyday?
Look, if you think that I've probably spent 10 hours of my life with Jerry, and he's a friend, think how long you've spent with him today.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? That's hanging out. Do you know what I mean? That's hanging out. And that they say as well, whether you watch afterlife, and people say, "Oh, where can you go? Where can you go from there?" I go, "Well, you've spent 2.5 hours with that bloke.
Yeah.
Surely there's more to learn about him."
Yeah.
You know,
I did feel that way at the end of Afterlife. I was like, oh, it feels like I remember when it feels a bit like The Sopranos, totally
Wow.
different show, but like
Wow.
it feels like,
the greatest show ever. I like this.
in my opinion,
It
anyway.
is.
Man sitting down with his
Exactly.
therapist.
Well, they're making a sidetrack. They're making a prequel
with
and
his son, his real son. Yeah,
I've spoken to his son, by the way. I want
Have
to get
you?
him on the podcast because I'm
Right.
a massive Gandolfini fan.
I met him once, and I was intimidated by him.
James, yeah.
Yeah, he's a lovely man.
He's
but
huge.
He's The Sopranos.
Oh, man.
So there's a part of you, as a fan, he went, "Hey, how you doing?" And there's a hand like a bear.
Yeah.
I went, "Good, yeah." It's you're the head of the mafia.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not an actor. No, but you're the head
But
of the mafia.
even as James in his interviews, he was quite a serious guy. At
He
times.
was very, he was, yeah. And Paulie Walnuts.
Yeah.
He's less of a thespian and more.
He's a real gangster. He
Well,
was.
I don't know if he was, but he went, "Hey, funny guy, I know you," like that. And I went, "Yeah." I'm going, "Yeah, how you doing?" Like that, right?
Unreal.
yeah. It's funny.
But what I meant by that was Tony was developed so much over the following seasons, but I felt like we got a taste of the character, but I could feel like there was more to come if you wanted to. Did you ever feel like you shut any of the previous characters off too early and you wanted to go further with them?
Yeah, but on purpose. We could have done another series of The Office, but would it have been as good? Could people's memories
Yes.
plays tricks with them though?
Yeah.
Because when you think when you think you want another, things happen.
Yeah.
And you can't leave it too long. You can't do it too early. So it's really a lovely safe bet to leave them wanting more, and you never know. You never know when you've gone too far. It's Russian roulette. I've only done one. Well, let's just leave. You got away with that.
You're not dead. Yeah,
exactly.
You can have too much Russian roulette, as they say. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That old saying.
Yeah.
My nan used to say that.
Yeah.
She had
He's
no
played too
jaw,
much.
no jaw and one ear.
Russian roulette again.
Fucking hell, nan.
Yeah.
Actually,
Nightmare going around here.
I was watching loads of clips before, and I heard a phone call you had on the radio with your mother.
I know. Do you know what? I listened to that yesterday. Was it going around Twitter?
I think it came up when we recommended because I've been watching all this stuff.
I couldn't listen to it for ages after. But now I can. Now
She's telling you off for your swearing. I didn't bring you up that way.
Your language, my son. I didn't bring you up to say that. Yeah.
And I love how you tease her the way you tease like Jane as well.
Of course, yeah. And then when she laughs, so you sound like Muttley. Yeah, that was fun.
Are the stories that you tell about her, like her funeral and stuff, true?
If I say a story's true, it's true.
So the whole funeral with she was a keen racist kind of.
That's all true.
Right.
That's all true. Everything's true. And I've done jokes before that I've dropped that clearly aren't true, because I'm worried they think the true stories aren't true.
Right.
So I don't say, I don't do, I walked into the bar the other day, no, I'm joking. Right? I don't do those. So, because I want them to know that when it's true, it's true. I might change the names. Just in case. So a guy I went to school with who used to suck his own dick, I wouldn't say his actual name.
It's actually Brad Pitt.
It is. It's not Brad Pitt. It's not with his back.
No. Oh, God. Do you ever think this should?
I never went to school with anyone who sucked their own dick.
No,
I don't know that. They might have.
Was the ant on the bell end true? Was that one true?
The fly on the bell end.
He said that.
He said
it wasn't true. He said it was true.
You know, I felt ridiculous.
You tried it.
I've never tried. No. Do you know why I wouldn't do it? Because I wouldn't be cruel to an animal.
Your one set of morals you got. Those little
the old robot wanking fly. Not a problem.
Exactly.
Pull those wings off.
Either, so you don't need to take them off. They don't know. That's the thing. You know, I felt very sorry for. I felt sorry for a lot of people after The Office came out. People looked at the dynamics of the group and they went, "I am that one. I am that one." I always felt sorry for the one in the group that went, "I'm Gareth."
Oh,
And
that's funny. Because I put at the time I put out. I said, if you're trying to work out which one of your friends is Brent, it's you.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's not obvious, it's you.
Yeah.
Of course, and by definition, we've all got a blind spot. It might be us. We all do Brenty things.
Oh, yeah.
It's just that we don't let a film crew in, and we're not so desperate to be loved as David Brent.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gareth. Well, Gareth is based on the guy I went to school with who told me the fly story and the crab in a beer and the if you get captured by cannibals, they show you pornographic. When you're in the pot, they show you pornographic pictures, so you get an erection and there's more meat.
Yeah.
Right? You fucking moron. I changed his name.
Yeah.
And he had a mate, right? He had another mate that was Kev.
Right.
In Derek.
Yeah. And so
they just talk about sex all the time. Like before they'd had it. Like 13, 14, and that's why Gareth is like a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah.
He was a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah.
So all those things, yeah.
But we were also saying there are like classic Gervais characters in each of your series, and you can sort of see those archetypes that you create within each one for the different dynamics. There's always someone that is a Gareth type character. There's always a Tim type
stupidity is
character.
funny. Arrogance is funny.
Yeah.
Stupidity with arrogance is pretty funny. On the other side, anger is funny. Self-awareness and you don't like it is funny because you're someone trapped in their own body like Tim is funny.
Yeah.
But you can't. What you can't do is have too many. I got it all from Laurel and Hardy, if you're doing realism, you can't have too many crazy characters unless you only have one sensible character. The point is, this is a mad world and I'm the only sane one, right? Likewise, you can have lots of normal characters and one crazy character, so everyone goes, who the fuck is this guy? Like some mothers do have Mr. Bean, so that you've got to get the dynamic right. If it's all 50-50, it's all mixed up and everyone's got an ally. So I made sort of Tim the lonely one, the only
that would probably be you.
Yeah.
Fisher Price haircut.
Loads of people actually. So a lot of young people who are just discovering The Office always tweet me and go, "There's you in it." And I was like, "It's just a white guy with a big nose. That's all it is."
Have you got a big nose?
Yeah, it's bigger than. It's very Freeman.
Now we're talking about it. Now it's even worse now.
It feels like bigger. Yeah.
Can you see it?
A little. If I'm honest.
Apparently you can, but your brain
it dials it out.
Yeah.
Do you know, you talk about that blind spot though? I think since being on camera more, especially because
yours is monstrous.
No,
now.
but you're YouTube. You kind of play a little bit of a character. It's like you're turning the volume.
Of course
up
you do
a little bit, but I've become aware of like myself a hell of a lot more from being on camera. That's for sure. I think I'm less ignorant than what I was. Still a little bit ignorant, but it does make you a bit more self-aware.
You mustn't worry about it, and you mustn't change because it'd be false. So I mean, the first time I heard my voice, I thought, why do I sound like a Smurf Wurzel?
I thought that when I first heard your voice.
Yeah. And then when I see myself walk along the street, I go, why am I waddling?
Yeah.
Are my thighs rubbing together? Am I pigeoned? Right, and then don't like that angle. There's the bald spot. Come on. So of course it's horrible. It's. I think people think that if you're famous and you've done something you're proud of, that you like to sit back and watch yourself. That's the bad bit. I want to go. Okay, get him off screen. Then let's get the. It's all good. It's all good. All these things we worry about, they're normal. They're nothing to do with fame. It's just that fame heightens it, and the problem comes with other people's expectations of you. I mean, the first time I was asked for an autograph, I think it was on the 11 o'clock show. So I said, "Oh, can I have your autograph?" I went, "Really?" And they felt really stupid. They went, "Yeah." I went, "Oh God, of course they don't. They don't know that this is mad for me." So I went, "Oh sure." And now that's a lesson. Don't make people feel stupid about liking you. Yeah. Because they don't know the difference. People think that everyone on telly is a millionaire immediately. Yeah. And that they're hanging out with Sam Jackson.
That I can confirm that's not true. I've been offered some TV stuff. It doesn't pay anywhere near as well as YouTube these days.
No. Although Dave does pay much less.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you learn those little things, and then the opposite end of the spectrum is that now everyone's got a fucking phone. So people who come up to I'll give you your phone.
Like that.
So you're in a restaurant.
Yeah.
People who come up like this. They come up like this.
This is mental.
Yeah.
And just walk. Not a word. not to work.
Yeah.
Just like, because they think you're. But when I came to it, I came to it and I feared fame. I came to it with, as I said, I was 39. The British press, I've seen them build people up to destroy them and all this. And I thought, right, that's worrying. Right? So I made sure that everyone knew that I did not sign this deal with the devil. I didn't go around saying, make me famous and you can go through my bins. I knew that I wanted to be famous for something and only that. I didn't do those let people into my house interviews or I didn't do any of that shit. I went, I'll talk about The Office.
You've got to keep that there, because once you give a little, it's over.
And now I can give a little bit more, because now I know how to control.
It's set in stone now.
We've got a slice of the media now. You know, I've got before I was a website. If someone said something wrong, I'd go on my website and go, "That's not true." Now I can fire off a tweet. Now I've got more followers than British newspaper. You know, so I don't worry about it so much. The first time someone said a lie about me, I thought, "Oh my God, that's not true." It wasn't anything bad. You know, it was something like he's got a boxing ring in his. I thought.
What a weird lie.
What a weird lie. It doesn't worry me, you know. But now I don't care. Now I don't care because there's so much rubbish out there. Now, unless they say something that's really bad, I go, no, it's not. No, it's not true. You know, I won't even bother, you know, because it's just not worth it. Because no one cares. People have already made their mind up. If someone says, it depends. Well, okay, if a newspaper does a positive thing about you, all the comments are positive. If they do a negative, they're all negative. They're sheep. It's meaningless. They read. I better say something. You know, it's you know.
When I'm talking to you, I feel like because you're much further down the road in your life and that, but I feel like I'm getting like
I'm nearly dead.
Old. Yeah, you're giving me life lessons. Yeah, I appreciate this.
Yeah.
And when I'm
good at those. I'm great at those.
Yeah, well, Afterlife felt like a bit like that. Like I was watching it, like I get like when you're talking to the old woman at the end, and she's obviously mourning her husband. When she's talking, I'm like, I can hear Ricky telling me this.
Well, you're all the characters.
But more so with her, like in the office or whatever.
Yeah.
It was, now I've grown accustomed to your work, it's like, he's telling us this so that we learn this as well.
That's right. There needs to be a character that only has integrity, that tells the truth. There needs to be one of those. And I learnt that from one of the first... that started it all for me with binge watching and those epic sagas about one thing. There was a series called Murder One, and it was 22 episodes about a court case, and it was about lies and you know intimidation, all these things, all these terrible things in life that had happened, and the lawyer. He always told the truth, and and you knew when he spoke, it was almost like someone looking down the lens and going, "This is the truth, by the way. This is the real deal." And I thought, you need that. You need that with all the other stuff that's happening. You need someone. You go, "That's that. I'm having that." Of all the stuff I've heard, that's the one. That's the one I like. And it usually comes from compassion and kindness, because if someone's being kind and compassionate and they're caring about you, it doesn't matter whether they're right or wrong, because you sort of judge people on their intentions, not their final actions, you know, and we sort of know that intuitively, but sometimes we forget it. If someone's trying to hurt you but doesn't, they're worse than someone who accidentally hurts you. No doubt about it. So you sort of do it from motivation and intention, and that's why in comedy, when the Marx Brothers, right, they were huge involved. They were running around doing crazy shit, going crazy shit. And the producers came to them and said, "You want to do a film? We got to keep the crazy shit, but we do a musical number, put a little plot in, and the reason you're doing the crazy shit is to get these two lovers together." So now these people are doing that. Without that, they'd just be annoying.
Yeah.
But people doing stupid things, but with a cause. Okay, come on then. You're doing it for good reasons. We let people off anything if they're doing it with good intentions.
It sounds like I always watch your stuff and think it's quite a classic story that you're telling, but just wrapped up in quite modern trappings in a way.
It is, yeah.
And
like this is basically a Christmas Carol.
Yeah, exactly. So he goes through.
Really?
Yeah. That is
He's Scrooged.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, how can I do a second series? And Tom Basden, who plays Matt, in it, said, yeah, that's interesting. He said, because, Christmas Carol ends and that's it. But what happens on Boxing Day?
Yeah.
Season 2 is Boxing Day. Does he keep it up? Does he keep up what he's learned? Because most people don't.
That's part of the problem, though, isn't it?
Of course.
Some people don't want to watch a guy who can't keep his promises when they felt good, because then they feel,
but
that's
then
my
he's human.
future. Yeah.
Because we keep promises and then we go back on it,
There's a lot more room with this character, I feel like, than some of the other ones.
There is, and there's not more room with it because we haven't explored. I don't think there's a scene in Afterlife that Tony's not in somewhere. Whereas now I can go. We can go elsewhere. We can, and that was hard to plot it as well with so much stuff. But now you want to see the other characters as well. So you've learnt about them, and the second season of Summer is always the best.
And you used the two women that you'd worked with before previously as the love interest, obviously the wife and the
lots actually. Ashley Jensen is back as the nurse.
She's great, isn't she?
She's amazing. She's brilliant. Kerry Godliman plays my dead wife. See, if it was a sitcom, that's what it'd be called.
Yeah.
If it was
it's a bit better than When the Whistle Blows.
It would have been great if you could have slipped in any of your catchphrases throughout the time. That would have been amazing. Yeah.
Joe Hartley's back.
Who's your therapist? Because he's a very famous
Paul Kay.
Yeah, and he's really
amazing.
Great in it. Yeah,
I like your interactions with him. Were
great, really
it was a bit like Darren Lamb type.
Yeah,
well, he made me laugh. Some of the things, the way he said it, he made me laugh. And I go, let's go again. Like the first story he tells, right? that way he leaned forward like that. That gets me every time. There's trigger things for me. If it's meant to be funny, that'll make me laugh. If it's not meant to be funny, they can make me laugh.
Yeah.
Someone turning round in a drama.
Right, yeah.
If you're me,
Yeah.
if someone goes,
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
You turned round.
Yeah.
Right? If you appear from something, this can never be not funny. Someone looking round, that can never be. So if you ever have to do that serious, if I see a spy thing or someone looking at a serial killer, if I see them do that, I go, well, fuck, don't do that.
Yeah.
Let's cut that. Let's not have them peer
You need to be able to anticipate what's going to happen.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Peering, things like that. Footsteps make me laugh.
Absolutely.
If we were having a conversation, there's someone walking past, I go, what? I can hear the little footsteps.
Yeah.
So that makes me laugh. Anything. So this method acting thing of being lost in the moment. No, everything makes me laugh. I'm aware of everything, and everything's funny. And the less it's meant to be funny, and the later and the more the boom op's getting annoyed, the funnier it is.
What was the show that made you laugh the most off when you weren't shooting, sort of thing, when you had the best laughs?
Oh my God. I think that they've all pretty much been the same. Office, Extras, Derek. This one probably less because it was more of a drama, so it was more procedural. So there was more work to do. Mm-hmm. Like with The Office, I could fuck about all the time. Everyone's at their desk. Extras, I could fuck around all the time because it was funny. It was meant to be funny all the time. So Derek, again, one room, people saying stupid things, more ad lib in Derek than the other two. So people could catch me out, like fucking David Earl ad libbing. One scene we didn't get through, the scene in the caravan. I just went, forget it. Him, and once scene, and I do it the same. I used to hand it out, and I can't take it. So once he knows he's got me, I'm finished. There's nothing more joyous than not being able to stop laughing. There is nothing more joyous in life than you going, I can't. I'm in pain. Yeah. Right? That's the greatest feeling in the fucking world. Yeah. If you can't stop laughing, right? And sometimes it is a tip as well. The only antidote to the funniest thing in the world is someone saying the second funniest thing in the world. Yeah. When you're a group of mates and you're laughing about summer, and then someone who's not, and they go, yeah, and remember that, and they go, oh, cheers, Frank. Okay, cheers. That stopped us. Someone joining in who's not quite as funny.
Yeah, but that's what I love to watch from the outside, is that person saying that, and I don't know why, but because of awkward things like The Office, I almost made it my mission sometimes to say the second funniest thing.
Well, that's so funny you say that, because in a social situation, I love awkward.
Excruciatingly awkward.
Yeah. But not in real life when it's not me. If I'm at a social occasion and everyone's laughing and someone makes a crap joke and no one laughs, I want to go. I want to go back in time and save them. I want to go into, or I to try and just look at me. Don't look at them. I can't stand someone else being embarrassed.
But you
can't. I don't care. I'm not embarrassed. If someone goes to the loo and they come back and they've got a patch of wee on their trousers, right? And everyone knows, and then someone says you got a patch of wee, and they go red. I go, fuck, get me out of here. Yeah. Whereas if I come out, I go, fucking piss myself again. Yeah. It's done.
Yeah,
it's done. Being embarrassed, acknowledging you're embarrassed is worse than being embarrassed. It's just.
How did you become so self-comfortable? Like, just be like,
Teflon.
Because we're all gonna die. We're all going to die. Imagine on your deathbed, got any regrets? To go, yeah, I had a little bit of wee on the trousers once.
But so many people can't do that though. I can do that, but a lot of people can't. They just can't seem to get there.
It's funny. It's funny. Someone taking the piss is funny. Right? Honestly, I grew up where it was like, honestly, last man standing. Everyone, you can't walk into the room. People would check, make sure there was nothing wrong with their, like a label or their hair. Or I used to have my mum cut my hair over a week because I couldn't go to school. So I went, haircut. Fuck it, I'm not giving them that. Now I love it. Now I leave stuff because I want them to have a go. You've got to give people something. You've got to give something. We're all idiots. And what my job is to let people know it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. We're all fucking idiots. And that's great. There's no one better. You shouldn't give a fuck.
See, I think society's changing now because of like Instagram and that way. Being able to laugh at yourself, people seem to be getting worse at that. Not better. Because
you're destroying their image.
Because image is now becoming the actual thing. So before it was, there's who I am, and then there's image. But now image is just everything now.
Yeah.
So when you criticise people, which we do a lot, they're not taking it so well.
It's someone having a go at your Instagram thing that you've worked hard to create this fake.
They photoshopped that. They took it all day on that. You know what I mean?
It's your wig. So
if you go and be like, that's bollocks.
Exactly. It really is.
They can't handle it.
Yeah. Again, it's like I talk about wigs in humanity. It's an odd lie. It's an odd lie because you got a wig on, mate. No one. I don't. They're probably better now. You could have a wig for all I care, but I
don't. It's all real.
But when I was growing up,
we rubbed the balloon on it.
Someone walking in with a wig, it was a wig, mate.
Yeah,
it's a wig, mate, isn't it? No, it's not. It is, mate. It's like it's just.
I like when you convince the whole family to get in.
But it's the pressure of the pressure of wearing a wig. I go, the door goes. You got to put that fucking wig on before you go. Fucking hell, I'm bald. Yeah. All right, I'm bald.
Just accept it and move on. Yeah. There's something really British about that, though. That British people cannot see something and like have that. There's that element of embarrassment.
No, hair replacement therapy. The sales of that are going to be way lower in England than they are in America. Americans are quite comfortable with that.
I suppose it's different because I don't think there's anything wrong with being bald. Whereas if there was, maybe I don't know. I can't think of an example of something that you hide that you're embarrassed. I don't know. I'm comfortable because you should be comfortable.
Right.
I stopped being vain in that sense, and we're all vain. We want people to give us props for good things we've done, and we don't want to be the butt of jokes, and we don't want to, everyone's got that sort of vanity, and you sort of demand respect, and that's cool. But I stopped worrying about things like that when I was about 28, 29. I just thought, I don't want to stand up in a pub in tight trousers, and just got to say that sounds really bad. I wasn't just going to pubs in tight trousers for any reason. No. I want comfort. I want fucking comfort. Yeah. I judge all my clothes on comfort. Are they
clearly?
Yeah. I do. And you know what? It's obvious. It's not like people go, no, Rick, you're you're still a trendsetter.
Quite a snazzy dresser, you.
Exactly. Yeah.
You fucking fooled me.
Do you think though that stops people from?
See, this is it. No, this is it. Imagine if I got offended. Would that blow your mind if I went, okay, there's no need for that?
I think it's because I'm dealing with people so often now. It's gone the other way. So I think it's changed now.
I don't know why people think they have the right to never have anything bad said about them or teased, or I don't know where they got that from. They certainly didn't fucking grow up in my family or the council estate or school. People who think they have the right to never have someone go, fucking hell.
You look like shit.
Yeah.
I think
My
that's
mum, right, went to college, right? I came home from college once, and my mum went, "Oh, Rick, you're half getting fat," and then fed me cake. You know, it's like I was brought up with honesty. I was brought up with honesty, and it is the best policy. It makes you bulletproof. This thing now of having safe spaces. They must never hear anything they don't agree with. You know, as someone said a phrase, you shouldn't pave the jungle. You shouldn't pave the jungle, okay? Get out there and fucking learn how to survive. Don't shut down everything you don't want to hear. But what's the point of that? Yeah. You know, just fucking live in a video game. You've got to get out there and experience it. You should argue. You should. This thing about people shouldn't hear people say terrible things about you. You should. And you know, here's the good bit. You get to say them back. You get to say them back. People offended by a joke. Fucking hell. Jesus Christ, there are real things in the world you should be offended. You're more offended. I once tweeted, people are more offended by jokes about war, famine, fucking murder than actual war. Yeah. They're not doing anything towards those. They shouldn't joke about it. What are you doing towards the real thing? You know, it's crazy. No, it's mad.
Yeah, you can't. I think that's partly down to the control that people have, though. On those, like, that's partly down to that Instagram control of your image and those sorts of things. Is you feel like you have control over what you see, what you do, and you can sort of shield yourself off from those things. Yeah. So when you invasively go, I don't know, God isn't real or whatever, people go, I didn't want that on the timeline. That's not what I wanted.
It's strange because they think it's like I've gone to their house.
Yeah, exactly.
They've come to my house. They're following me. They've come to my house and sat down. And I've said to them, and they're gone, fucking hell, what are you doing, mate? I go, well, you're in my house, mate.
Yeah.
You know, you can block me. You don't have to follow me.
There's fake outrage as well, though. That's even worse, isn't it?
Of course there is.
Just for the sake of being outraged.
Yeah. And again, that was something that didn't exist before Twitter. That someone would say something to me, nasty, and I'd go back to them, either go, what's that for, mate? Or slam them. And they go, oh, man, you replied, I'm a huge fan. And I look at the timeline, and they've said 25 nice things, but I haven't noticed them. So then they've gone to the dark. I'll go, mate, why would you rather me think you're an arsehole than not know about you? Why is being famous for being shit better than not being famous? I don't get it. Because everyone wants to go, I was here. Everyone, you know, cavemen blowing woad on that, I was here. And now Twitter, everyone can say, I was here. It is reading every public toilet wall in the world at once.
We're wrapping up now, are we?
Okay.
All right, I've got a couple more questions.
Go on. I need a wee as well.
All right, one question.
Just go in.
I've been
in Afterlife.
Yeah.
The turning point for him, it seems, is his wife's death. That seems to be a huge, defining moment in his life. In your life, if that was a movie, what would your turning point be? What would be the main, if there was a
that actually existed, that was real?
If you were to script it, if you were to write the movie of your life, what would be that?
Oh. Well. Yeah, Bob coming in saying, "Why do you believe in God?" Is, I think, my English teacher saying, "Write about what you know." If you don't count the bad, the big things, parents dying, and the fact that we always had pets, things like that are really the fact that I had older brothers and sisters, and when they moved out, I got all their Bob Dylan and Neil Young, and you know what I mean. Yeah. So all those things, they have a profound and lasting and a really important effect on your life. But I suppose, what would the turning point be? It depends on what I want to do in my life and up to when. But up to an adult, which probably ended with me wanting to be a pop star and failing, it would have been sitting at home, a working class kid on the floor, watching Mark Bolan, One Tea Time, and David Bowie came on singing Heroes, and I thought, fuck me, who is that? That's who I want to be.
I like that.
That would be it.
The last question, which I always ask to everyone, and it was
actually going to be a horrible one, isn't it?
It was weirdly, I've always wanted to ask you it, because it was inspired by your series. How would you like to be remembered? I've asked this to Robbie Williams. I've asked this to a lot of people.
You know, the terrible thing is, I can't better that quote. I cannot better it because it's me, isn't it?
It is.
I'd love to. I'd fucking love that.
Simply,
I really would. I really genuinely.
Tell us the quote. I want to hear the quote.
As the man who put a smile on
the face of all who we met.
I probably wouldn't say it in that of all who we met, but that's not a bad one.
Yeah.
That's not a bad one.
I like it.
Yeah. He basically saying he had a laugh. He had a laugh, and then
Nice
he found a
one,
lump.
Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed meeting you.
That was great. That was brilliant. The size of him.
I'll take you weightlifting sometime when you're in London.
Is that
We'll do a bit of training.
Would you train? You don't bodybuild. You don't.
No, just like weightlifting and stuff like that.
Great.
But,
So it's a sport. You do actually
yeah,
do
a bit of everything. Be
Yeah.
honest with you.
I do all the heavy lifting on this podcast.
He's the.
Nice one.
Yeah.
I remember once I had Eddie Hall, who I fucking love.
We've had him on the podcast.
He's great,
He's
right?
great, yeah.
But I had a routine that I never did it. Right, he was in an interview. You know, he did the first one to do. He half a ton, fucking nosebleed, half a fucking ton, and he was really sweet, and he was so proud of it. And I was fucking like genuinely right over it. And he said something like, you know, it's why I was put here, right? And I had a routine to go. So he's thinking that God put him there, right? And then. And for years he'd be going, why am I here? God says to lift stuff.
Yeah.
What sort of stuff? Really heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Then what? Put it back down again.
Yeah,
boy.
exactly.
It's like the dog thing on Humanity, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just like that.
Just like, go. Put it back down again, boy.
Yeah.
All right?